If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today's May 18, 2020, and looking at the highlights of the day, Fed Chairman Powell says, don't bet against the U.S. economy and the markets go reeling. So looking at the markets today, there's no economic calendar scheduled for today. However, starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the British pound break support at 121.95. Looking at the Dow Jones, bouncing 300 points on Fed Chairman Powell's comments. And that's reeling the markets as well in the commodities area. Gold pushes above resistance for the first time, above that 1741 to 1760. While oil is charging higher above $30 a barrel. Now, looking at the stocks, there's one thing that's very interesting. NVIDIA stock, okay, which is a very important component, it's breaking to all-time new highs, despite what the market is doing today. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So I'm going to first take a look here at the daily GBP USD. And we mentioned this last week that the GBP looked very weak throughout the week last week. And sure enough, we got that breakout that we were looking at below this 121.95, breaking this support-ish area. And that was very important because right now we're trading at 120.97. Now we do have a previous support area around this 120-ish level. So it's going to be a little bit reluctant to break it. However, if it does break it, then the bottom's up. Then we can go back to 117, 116-ish level. Okay. So some of the strategies that the countries are now implementing as towards the coronavirus lockdown and the easing of the lockdown is finally representing itself, and also the stimulus package, okay? So I'm not sure which is better off, the US or the UK in the stimulus package. It seems like each country is doing what they can do in order to sustain the economy from completely collapsing, but this is very, very important. However, when we look at another currency, the Euro USD, we don't see it breaking down. We see it trading close to its support level, but not breaking down. So this is what's important about this. GBP is breaking down and showing us much more weakness than the Euro versus the USD, respectively, of each one of them. Okay, so that's really important to understand that. So this may actually look for a bona fide trend that will be breaking out further with the GBP. Now, jumping into commodities, this is really very noteworthy. Let's look at a 4-hour chart here. And this is very important because we haven't been in this area for quite some time. We've tested it, okay? We've come close to testing it a couple of times, but never breaking above it. Okay, and using the 1741 as a support level, we're right now trading at 1763 in gold. Now, to give us a perspective of all this, we got to look at a longer time frame. Let's look at a monthly just to give us a perspective of this. And this is trading off of our all-time highs about 100 points, okay? So really very important. So what's happening in the economy, okay, is because a lot of you had asked me, why is gold going down when the coronavirus initially came out? Isn't it a haven for investments? So at that time, everything was systemic, meaning everything went down. When there's a pandemic, there's no haven. Everybody's freaking out, okay? Now it seems like the pandemic has kind of gone into the wayside, not has disappeared, but gone on the wayside for now. And now people are finally realizing that economies are going to be affected by what's going on. And now they're shifting their money away from equity markets, away from stocks and the indices, and putting it in more safer investments like gold. Okay. And that is exactly what's happening right now. So there's a shift in the market right now. And also the fact that oil is going up as well in the anticipation. Okay, we're jumping into gold here above $30 a barrel in the anticipation that the lockdowns will be easing. And that's really important because that means airlines are going back to business. That means that shipping companies and the consumption of travelers is going to start up again. Now, it might not come back to its 100% capacity, but even if it goes back to 30 to 40% of its capacity, we should see the price of oil rally to about $40 a barrel. Realistically, okay, so something to consider. However, we're not completely there yet, and I'd like the tape to actually prove to me that we're getting there before we celebrate that, okay? We did break above this $30, very momentous, but we may treat that $30 as a support level as we now make that correction and get somewhat into a leveled playing field. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, we saw it actually rally this morning. We're now trading at 23,760-ish level after a small rally earlier this morning because Fed Chairman Powell says don't bet against the U.S. economy. And sure enough, it's selling off a little bit here into today's session. However, this is still questionable. Whether or not the U.S. economy will completely be back to what it was beforehand, that's still questionable and something to consider going into today's trading. Okay, so something to really consider because I'm not so sure that the markets are so coming back so quickly. Okay, it's going to take some time. Yes, will they be back? Absolutely. But I think it's going to take some more time for us to show that. Okay, JP Morgan last week we mentioned it bounced a little bit to that 87 level. Now it's tapering off to $85. Okay, so consider this break on the downside from this $90 to be significant. Okay, this really trades with tremendous character and use that previous support as subsequent resistance at this 87.93-93-ish level. Okay, so something to consider there. Now, looking at the other stocks like the Apple, the Amazons, they're strong. Okay, altogether they're strong. Apple moved up to 307. Amazon trading closer to its highs of 2,400. Microsoft also very vibrant at 183. But what's standing out right now is a company called NVIDIA. Look at this, 339 and on its dead highs, making all-time new highs. Now, it's a semiconductor company, but this is really very noteworthy, okay, because this represents some of the smaller stocks that are on the Russell 2000. So something to consider looking at NVIDIA to see if the markets do turn and do go higher. I would expect NVIDIA to even further go higher than this because this is all-time highs, okay? This is really very, very significant. So you got to be very stock selective in what's going on, especially going into the next couple of weeks and primarily going into the summer where it's lighter trading. We may not get that this year because of what's going on the aftermath of the pandemic. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.